Hey guys, my name is Shane. I'm a DP and filmmaker based out of San Diego, California. I just wanted to talk about a few tips I have about working from home. I know that over the last few years of dealing with the pandemic, we've all been adjusting to working from home or working remotely. And working at home or alone already comes with a lot of issues like loneliness, staying motivated, accountability. And I just thought, since I've already been freelancing full-time for the last 3 years, that I would just share a few points that I feel like have been helpful to me on my journey of learning how to be productive. So just so you know, before I get started, a lot of these tips are gonna seem or feel really basic, and that's because they really are. So my tip number 1 is to exercise daily. Now, exercising can take on a lot of different forms and a lot of different intensities, but I find that even just a low intensity workout for even just like 15 to 20 minutes, or even less than that, like 10 minutes, can really help a lot. I've just found that there's something about getting my blood flowing in the morning really early that helps me stay motivated and have energy throughout the rest of the day. I'm not sure exactly all the science behind it. I just know that for me, exercise is one of the biggest things to help me stay motivated and inspired. For me, exercise means running, it means going for walks, it means surfing. I live in Southern California. It means cycling. Sometimes I'll go for a bike ride. Sometimes I just do 12 minutes of yoga in the morning, and that's enough to get me going. And another little point I'd throw in there with one, so maybe like 1B, would be eating healthy. Eating healthy has been really important to me to stay focused throughout the day and to have energy. I used to just pound a lot of like cold cut sandwiches. I used to pound a lot more sugar, a lot more caffeine. I was finding that I was just crashing every afternoon at around 2 p.m. to the point where I had to take a nap or I just couldn't get anything done. And for me, switching to a more plant-based diet has really helped with that a lot. So I'll have more wraps, I'll have more salads, I'll have a lot more veggies, I'll have a lot more nuts. Now, of course, it's important to remember that everybody has different dietary needs. So I would just really encourage you to take the time to figure out, what does your body need? What makes you feel good? To me, the ultimate test is eating something and then after 20 minutes or 30 minutes, asking yourself, do I feel good after eating this? Food is supposed to nourish you, it's supposed to give you energy after you eat it. So if it's not, there's a problem. My number 2 biggest tip for you is to stay inspired. For whatever reason, this is one of the hardest things for me to do, is to open up my podcast app, to open up Audible in the morning and listen to something that's gonna challenge and inspire me. One of my favorite podcasts is the Gary Vee Audio Experience, and that's because it challenges me. Gary is a very motivating and inspiring person, and so anybody that you can listen to that is like that, I say is a positive thing. Also, reading audiobooks is a really good one. Even if the audiobook isn't necessarily about being a great entrepreneur or an amazing worker, I find that just maintaining this curiosity and learning every day has helped me to stay focused and helped me to stay motivated. One app that I like to recommend to people is called Blinkist. It's like Audible, but it condenses these books that would take you hours to read down into like these little nuggets. It's almost like the SparkNotes version of an audiobook, so it could really save you a lot of time. Instead of spending hours reading a book or listening to a book, you could spend 15 or 20 minutes and still get a lot of the key points out of that book. My tip number 3 is to have goals. Write down your goals and get very specific. For example, my goals are to grow my income by about 75%, to establish an LLC or S Corp this year, to generate multiple streams of income. Another goal is to get an office this year. We just had our first baby, so it'd be really nice if this room could just be hers. And it'd also be really nice for me to be able to get out sometimes so that I'm not home constantly. Another goal of mine is to land more retainer work. Another goal is to grow my YouTube channel by 500 subs. That shouldn't be too hard, right? So anyways, having goals like that written down and then maybe even print it off and like put it up in your office somewhere, that's really helpful to keep you focused on what you're trying to accomplish day in, day out. My tip number 4 is to have a list of all the primary daily things you have to get done, even if they're super small. For me, that's checking emails, responding to people I need to respond to, checking on the status of each project that I have going on, things like that, so that right in the beginning of the day, I can check a bunch of boxes and feel like I'm already getting productive and make sure that I don't miss something important like an email or a phone call that needs to happen. Now for me, I use an app called Todoist. I really like it. I like how it functions. I like it better than the built-in reminders app with my Apple products. My tip number 5 is to make and build friendships with people that are in a similar place in life as you. So for me, I'm making friends and keeping in touch with other filmmaker guys, freelance guys that live here in San Diego, and we help each other stay motivated. We help each other by sharing business ideas, by sharing growth secrets, by sharing how we get leads, by sharing our pricing. There's so much that you can learn, and then there's also just that camaraderie of being in the same place in the same season together as you're trying to grow your business. That's been hands down one of the best things for me in terms of staying motivated. My tip number 6 is to share those goals that I mentioned earlier with those friends and have them help you stay accountable to them. There's nothing worse than writing down a bunch of goals in January and then you get to like April, May, June, and you realize that you totally forgot about all those goals. And now you haven't been working on those goals, and now you just feel guilty that, man, what could have been? And now it feels like you have to do all that work in half the amount of time. So if you can create a little accountability here and there, maybe that'll help you stay motivated instead of forgetting about some of those goals you had. Tip number 7 is to not forget the snacks. I find that snacking throughout the day helps my energy level stay up. I know I mentioned earlier about having a healthy diet, so preferably these would be healthy snacks. So for me, I'll have like almonds or pecans, or I'll have like an apple or a banana, something that'll give me energy. I will say nuts are a great snack. They don't necessarily give you energy right away the way that like a soda or a coffee or like a banana or an apple would. But if you eat them and you're patient, in about 15 or 20 minutes, you'll feel great and you'll have some more energy again. Pro tip. Tip number 8 is to enjoy your hobbies. Seriously, like you gotta go have fun. If you're not having fun, if you're not getting out there and doing something different than your job once in a while, you're gonna be so sick of what you do. You're gonna get so burned out. So for me, I love surfing. I'm not very good, but I still paddle out. I get in the lineup. I try and catch some waves. But I also just love surf culture. And it's just such a great break from my daily mundane routines. Get out more, go skiing, go snowboarding, go hiking, go camping. There's just so many good things that you can go take your mind off of your job. And maybe a couple hours or a couple days later, you can come back with some fresh excitement instead of just trying to grind and grind and grind all the time. Seriously, like I take weekends off. I take Saturdays and Sundays off most of the time. Sometimes I work on those days if I have to. And I know freelancers out there who just work 7 days a week, who just kill themselves and they're grinding and they're hustling. And there's just a better way to live life. Like if you need to charge more money so that you can take a couple days off a week or even one day off, do it. Tip number 9 is to not forget to enjoy the pros of a freelance or self-employed lifestyle. Now what I mean by that is when you are a freelancer or a self-employed person, you're having to deal with the stress and the cons of being responsible for finding your own work. You're having to deal with the stress and cons of having to pay for your own things like an office or insurance. You're the director, you're the marketer, you're the post-production guy, you're the gaffer, you're the DP, you're the chief financial officer, you're the secretary. You're taking on all these roles to try and make your business successful. So my point is you're dealing with all the stresses of that. So don't forget to enjoy the pros of that. And what I mean is you can work whenever you want. You can take a day off if you want to. You can take a couple hours off if you want to. You can go work remotely from that other city if you want to. Don't forget to enjoy that. My final tip, tip number 10, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, but avoid having too much caffeine. Too much caffeine is just not a good idea. It makes you dehydrated. It will eventually sap your energy. I know for me, if I have a cup of coffee in the morning, and then if I have another cup of coffee in the afternoon, especially if I've been eating like junk food or something that's not very healthy, I will crash hardcore. I remember shooting a couple conferences in Santa Monica where I was exhausted, like shooting all day. I woke up at like 3:30 a.m. to drive up there from San Diego. The food they fed us wasn't very healthy. I was trying to have coffee in the afternoon to keep myself awake, and it was just putting me to sleep. Like literally every sip I could feel myself falling asleep even more. And it was the weirdest thing, but I really do think the truth behind that is that the things that actually give you energy are like eating healthy and drinking water. Those are the things that will be good for your body and to give you energy. All right guys, so those are my 10 tips for being a more productive freelancer, self-employed person. I hope you found them helpful, and of course please do comment below if you want to add anything. I'm sure there's a ton of tips out there that I missed or that I haven't implemented yet that would really help everybody and probably help me. And of course, one last word of encouragement. I don't do this stuff perfectly all the time. Like I have to remind myself to get back on the wagon all the time, like every week, sometimes every day. I'm having to remind myself to do these things to stay healthy. So don't feel bad. If you drop off the bandwagon for a few days or a few weeks or even a few months, don't waste your time feeling guilty or ashamed of that. Just jump back on the bandwagon, press delete on that, and just get going again. All right? Okay, take care. Peace.